Yo, what's up, guys? I'm here with my new series, Let's Talk Comics, thanks to an idea from this man right here
Hey.
in a Q&A. And it's just basically, I'm going to try to make it a weekly show if I can with different guests every week. And it's just comic talk, like maybe a few questions here and there. And if anybody jumps in the chat that has a question, feel free to drop it and we'll try to answer it.
No, thanks for having me on, Russ. I said I've been following your channel, honestly, I said for quite a while. Nice to see your collection grow. Honestly, I said to see you, complete your runs. I said, and honestly, just be an awesome, amazing member of the comic community, right? You put out so much positivity out there, man. I said, so it's good to be here. It's good to talk comics. I said, and I'm excited to talk a lot about comics with my own collection, right? Because I said a lot of people know me. So for those of you who don't know me out there, so my name is Jeremy. I run a Instagram channel, a fairly new Instagram channel called ComicFury. But where probably a lot of people know me from is I actually part of a podcast called the STS Guys. We are a pop culture podcast, and we've actually been doing it for me and Larry were actually just talking about this the other day. We've been doing this for the past 6 years. So we've had our podcast going on for the last 6 years, about 4 episodes away from episode 250. And I said we've had some
Oh,
crazy
man.
adventures ever since. So excited to really kind of dive deep into some comics today and talk about a different side of my life.
Man, I remember when you guys just was doing episode 100 of the STS Guys and you made those posters with the thumbnails. I can't believe it's almost 250 episodes now.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
It's been going strong. It's been going strong.
Let's say a quick hello to the chat. Larry jumped in from the STS Guys. Pixels pages, panels, pages, and pixels, formerly Comic Book NYC, Comics with Murdoch, and Alex Big Blue. Thanks for jumping in, guys.
Hey, real quick, thanks, panels, pages, and pixels. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that, man.
Oh yeah, I did put the ComicFury Instagram in the description. It's the first link for anybody that's not following. And I guess let's get started, man.
Yeah, let's get started.
So I'm gonna throw a question out to start. Like, was there any particular character that first got you interested in comics growing up?
So I got 2 different stories I said for this.
All right.
So honestly, my all-time favorite character, Spider-Man. I said I love Spider-Man. I said I know you're a DC guy. I know you're a Superman guy, Russ. So I'm Team Marvel over here. I've
been getting a lot of Marvel lately.
I can appreciate that. But Spider-Man holds us at a near dear place in my heart. So honestly, I said all my tattoos, right? I said that I have. I said they're all Spider-Man related. I said I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. For a couple different reasons. Very first reason, right? And I said the very first time I ever stepped into a comic book shop, right? It was way back. Way back in the day. Way back in 92, right? That was when I very first went into a comic book store for the very first time. At that point in time, I said comics. They were having their resurgence, right? You had the foil covers for stuff. You had all the the new run of X-Men that had just come out. Jim Lee had come out in the book.
That was a fun run.
Yeah. And then there was a new Spider-Man character. And this was before all the all the hype that that surrounds this character today. But there was one specific Spider-Man character back in the day, which was the Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man 2099. This is actually the book. This was the very first comic book that I ever owned, that I picked up off the rack.
Dude, that's awesome.
And this is the exact book. This is the actual book too. I've had it for that long. It's Spider-Man 2099. Honestly, all the 2099 titles. So if you check out my Instagram, I've been actually going back and filling in. Every 2099. First issue. But Spider-Man 29, very first issue I picked up off the rack back in 92, and I've been collecting comics ever since. So
that's so cool to still have your first book, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not valuable. That's not my most valuable book in the collection by any stretch of the imagination, but probably the book that probably means the most.
Yeah,
just because
those
my very
sentimental
first
books,
comic.
man, they're great.
And then my second story, I said, of why I like Spider-Man, right? I said, back when I was 18 years old, I was in a really bad, like I said, really bad car accident. So like I said, I had to learn how to walk and talk. Like I said all over again. I had to learn how to tie my shoes. Like I said, it was really bad. Like I said, I was airlifted to a level 1 trauma center. I said, didn't know if I was going to make it. I said from this car accident. So part of that journey too, I said also had to learn how to read again. And then I actually learned how to read from Spider-Man comics because the bubbles, right? I said it kind of followed the action. So I could basically try to figure out, what they were saying. I said the actions on the panel. So I said I kind of learned to read again. I said, after that car accident, I said, but by having Spider-Man comics. So I said that's another reason why Spider-Man, I said, means a little bit more to me than others.
Yeah. Man, that's wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I know you like Superman, Russ. I said, so tell me about Superman. So what got you into Superman? Like why Superman?
It's gosh, it's kind of a story I guess a lot of people had as kids, man. Like been bullied in school and kind of kicked around, and it was just growing up. It was just like a real dark time. And I used to walk to school in the mornings, and I would always like be late on purpose because I just didn't want to go because I just knowed it was going to be like another kind of torturous day to try to get through. And I would always stop at this one shop and usually spend my lunch money on something to eat there. And one day I happened by the magazine area and they had comics out. And I already knew Superman from seeing the Christopher Reeve movie a few years earlier. I saw that when I was like 6 or so. So I knew the character and I already liked the character. But it was I was 12 at the time when I discovered Superman in the comics. I saw that book on the shelf and I just picked it up and started flipping through it. And that's a book that I actually still have today. You probably can't see it. It's up on the wall there, though. Up on the top row, it's Action Comics 688.
Nice.
Right at the start of the Reign of Superman story. And I read just about the whole thing in the store and spent my lunch money on that day. And ever since, man, I just kind of fell in love with that character and just escaped into that world of comics. And it just, Superman and comics just really helped me get through my childhood, man. And I've been a fan ever since.
Dude, that's awesome to hear, man. Like, and you know what's funny is about that, right? So that's so many people's stories, right? Like they're like, hey, I was picked on as a kid, or hey, you know what? I said, no, I ate lunch out by myself, or hey, I did this. I said, I think that's the thing I said about the comic community out there, right? I said everyone's there's so many positive people. Like I said, especially now as adults, right? Like I said, hey, like I said, you can kind of sort of reclaim some of that childhood, and now it's like this stuff is the cool stuff, you know. Like I said, people think comics are the cool thing. I said, versus back then, like, hey, you're the nerdy kid, who like comics, or like, hey, you weren't cool or you got picked on, but now, like, right, I said, you got some street cred if you have some nice books. So
now it's cool to live in a room like this.
Exactly. Like I said, for those of you who haven't seen my Instagram, check out I said. My first ever reel, that I Instagram reel that I ever posted. I did a tour of this room. It's my comic room that I sit in. It's it's a pretty epic room. It's a pretty epic room. I've been collecting for a long time on a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that tour was awesome, man. I remember when you showed that on Instagram.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm into comics, so I'm basically in everything nerdy, right? So like I said, I have comics. It's always been a passion of mine. I said, like, I've been Funko Pops for a while, and then I said probably within the last like couple of years, been into Hot Toys figures.
Those are awesome.
Like it's a dangerous path to fall down. So like, I think panels, pages, and pixels. I said, fancy bookshelves. Yeah, no, those are IKEA Mills bows. So those are all literally they're all full of hot toys. Like I said, like they're all hot toys.
Oh,
figures.
nice.
So that goes on for a little bit.
I came this close to like getting into hot toys about 2 years ago, and I didn't fall down that rabbit hole.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Like the detail on these figures is just crazy. Like, so like
I know,
here's
it's amazing, man.
here's
So
like
so
even the
accurate.
snap. Like it's just like they're great. Specifically, like I said, I think what got me hooked into hot toys specifically, right, was these I said the Iron Man figures specifically. Just because I said they're actually die cast. So they actually, like I said, they actually have metal on the figure, so they're actually pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Hey, Glitter and Duct Tape, what's going on?
What's up, Glitter? But yeah, so Spider-Man was basically your comic origin story when you got into collecting.
Absolutely. Like Spider-Man, I said, was that, and then I said then I started falling down. I said a couple different paths, right? And so like I probably like a lot of collectors out there, right? I said you're in the hobby and then you're out of the hobby, and then you get back in the hobby and then you're out of the hobby, right?
Yeah, that's how it was for me, and I'm sure a lot of people. Like, I collected from it was either late 1992 or early 93, and I collected from there up until 2000. And then I had to sell a bunch of stuff, and that just like took me way down, and I didn't collect again for like 15 years. It was 2015 when I got back in and started collecting again.
No, yeah, and I've done that like 2 or 3 times. I said in my entire journey, right? So like I collected basically from like I said 92, right? So that was the first book I ever picked up, to like 98, 99. Then I stopped, and then I took like a 10-year break. Then it wasn't until 2010 is when I went to my very first comic book convention.
Nice.
So I had the chance to meet Stan Lee. So that was really cool. So the very first time I met Stan Lee, right? I said it was way back in 2010. Awesome experience, right? So like I said, this was the first book I said I ever got signed. I said by Stan Lee. I said back in 2010. I said this is like, I probably need to get this reholder because I've had this slab forever. Because this is one of the old CGC slabs. But yeah, it was. I said this was the very first comic I ever got signed. I said by Stan Lee. And then that's what got me back into comics again. So I'm like, I went to my very first convention in 2010. I'm like, okay, I'm back into comics again. I'm like, this is awesome. I got to meet Stan Lee. Got to meet a couple of different celebrities at that con. I said it was great. Then fell off again. And then, honestly, I said, and then probably in the last like 3 years, back into it again.
Yeah. I've pretty much been like collecting nonstop since 2015. But when I first got back in, the first thing I did was I went and I started trying to get back all the books I had to sell back in 2000. And like, luckily, the hugest majority of them were still all like dollar books. So I've like pretty much almost managed to put the whole thing back together outside of a few books that went up a little bit higher.
Dude, that's nice that you're able to kind of sort of regain that collection.
Yeah. The only, I remember when I sold them, the only box I kept was my Superman box. And that is what got me back into it, because I was cleaning out the closet and I found that old loan box. I still had a Superman books, and I pulled it out and I started flipping through it. And that's like all it took for the collecting bug to come back.
Yeah. I said it just takes a little bit. It just takes a little bit to come back. Panels, Pages, Pixels, was that the first comic you ever got slabbed? Yes, this was the very first CGC slab I said that I ever submitted. I said way back in the day. I said 2010 was my very first CGC submission, and then have been a CGC member. I said ever since. So now I have, like, honestly, I can't even count the number of books I have slabbed now.
That's awesome, man. Do you collect any new books now, or are you just mostly collecting older books?
I collect older books mainly. However, I said really deep into. I've been starting to really kind of follow a couple stories, right? So read, like I said, Walking Dead. I said for years. I said before it honestly was even, I said, the TV show, right? I said I did that, but then I'm a really big fan of Robert Kirkman, and just his writing style. I liked Robert Kirkman when he did, like I said, Invincible. I said that's another, like I said, awesome, like I said, independent comic, right? So
Yeah, I've heard great things about that story.
oh yeah, like I said, the Amazon animation. It's great. So anything Robert Kirkman, I said, is attached to, I said, I pretty much, like I said, we'll jump all in on. So the newest book I'm actually reading, is actually, I said they announced it back in, I said, at San Diego. It's called Void Rivals. So I don't know if you know about this at all. This is the birth of the Energon universe. So basically, Robert Kirkman, Image Comics, they took over the licensing for G.I. Joe and Hasbro. So they have basically their own characters that they created, but then it all takes place in the Transformers G.I. Joe universe.
Dude, I hadn't heard of that. That sounds awesome, man. Yeah, I've been out of the loop on new comics for close to 3 years. I've just been getting older stuff. So it's like I've never even heard of that, but that sounds awesome.
Oh, it's awesome. Like I said, I'm really enjoying the story so far. And then plus, I said, I think it has. I think it has a lot of upside potential, especially with the last Transformers movie that came out with that little Easter egg at the end where they they kind of laid the groundwork for, hey, you know what, the G.I. Joes at the end of that movie. So it's, like I said, it's a good story. So highly recommend if you have a chance to read it.
I'm about to check that out.
Do I have a YouTube channel? So I specifically don't have a YouTube channel. As my podcast does, is the STS guys. So we have a YouTube channel that we host our episodes. I said we're on there. Try to do it every week. I said life has gotten in the way. I said for a couple of weeks. But yeah, so check us out at the STS guys. I said that's where our YouTube channel is.
I'll put that link in the description after the stream.
Cool. All right, Russ, I have a question for you.
All right.
So like I said, it's a two-part question.
Okay.
What is your favorite book in your collection? So I already know. I said you already have. I said your childhood book. So we're gonna take that one off the table. So besides that, what's your favorite book, and then what's your most valuable book?
Oh wow. My favorite would have to be a book that I actually got AOK'd by Panels, Pages, and Pixels. It's Action Comics 57 from the Golden Age.
Oh, nice.
It's my oldest Superman book. And every time I look at that thing and hold it in my hands, I feel like I'm holding a piece of comic book history, of Superman history. And I love that book so much, man. It's got to be the favorite in my collection.
That's awesome. No, like I said, just old comic books like that. I think that's why I have an affinity, like I said, for older comics, right? Just like, because you start to kind of reminisce, right? Like hey, like how many people have held this book, right? And then like how many times, like I said, right, was this basically hidden, like I said, in some box or something else before someone else unearthed it, right? And then basically it changed hands a couple other times before it kind of ultimately ended up, like I said with you, right? So like it's always kind of cool to think about that in old books.
Most valuable, I'm not 100% sure on that, because it was probably, when I first bought it, it was probably Avengers 57, but now in the grade that it's in, it's gone down quite a bit. And the other one that costed me the most was Uncanny X-Men 101, the first appearance of Phoenix.
Nice. I have one of those.
Yeah, but mine is, I think it's a 5.5. It's either a 5 or a 5.5. I can't remember because I have it in the box over there right now.
Hey, I said I live by a mantra. I said
So I don't know if those are still the most valuable, but they were when I got them.
So I said I live by a mantra. I said I think this is common in the comic community. Low grade is better than no grade. That's
with old books like that.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they're complete, I don't care if it's like a 1.0. I just want it in my collection.
Exactly right. So I have a two-part response to that question as well. So like one of my favorite comics, I said probably in my collection, is probably it's not the most valuable, but it's the most I've ever paid for. I said for an individual book, which is probably I said Giant Size X-Men. I said number one.
Oh man,
This
that's a
book,
dream book right there.
yeah, it was a dream book for me too, right? I said I wanted this book forever. Just because I said the cover is just iconic. Like I said, it's the X-Men team. Like I said, that's the X-Men team that still exists. I said today, right? So like it's just classic. I said classic X-Men. So nice mid grade. Never thought I was going to be able to own that book.
I've got like a story about that book that I still kick myself for today, man. When I was younger, maybe 13, I was a huge fan of the animated X-Men like TV series, and I used to go to flea markets to collect books and stuff, and I was like get like any X-Men books I could find, and I ran across that Giant Size X-Men 1 in the dollar boxes. So I got it when I was 13 years old, and I didn't know anything about comics actually being collectible or worth money. And I think even back then it was worth like 300, 250, 300 bucks. And that was one of the books that I sold in 2000 when I had to sell off a bunch of my collection, and I still didn't know what books was worth. I sold it in a stack of X-Men books about like that high, the whole stack for like 35 bucks. And in 2015, 2016, when I started putting my collection back together, and I was looking everything up to see like what it would cost, like everything's still $1, $2. I got to that book, and that's when it first hit me at, so I think I was 25, 26 years old then when I started getting back into it. And it just it hit me that, hey, these are actually worth money. When I saw the prices on that, I was just like, I'm never getting that book. That was when I knew I made a horrible mistake.
I think we've all been there. I said,
Yeah.
and we were talking. I said a little bit before the show on this one, right? I remember I said very vividly multiple times. I said passing up. I said New Mutants '98 versus Deadpool.
Yeah.
I said in the dollar boxes. It was in the 50-cent box. I said this is what even before there were dollar boxes, right? This was like when they were 50-cent and a quarter boxes. I said they were just stacks. I remember passing stacks of that book. Like I said back in the day, I said digging through stuff, and like it's just crazy just to think. I'm like you never know. I said what's gonna blow up. I said over time. So like, hey, these because you're talking about right before the show too, right? I said you're into the dollar books and filling in runs and things like that.
Yeah.
But I said you never know, right? So one of those dollar books has the potential to pop off because you never know what's gonna take off.
Oh yeah,
I said, like, who knew?
There's been a few of those that have like stopped me from completing runs. I've been like, what happened? This was a dollar book for like 30 years. Why?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
What happened?
So they're my most valuable. I forgot to grab it off the wall. I thought I had it in the pile. I have so my Amazing Spider-Man #1. I said that's probably my most valuable. Probably my favorite story too. That's how I picked up that book. Was someone had misspelled Spider-Man on eBay, and so it wasn't. And the description was horrible. And this is actually how I said another one of my podcast mates, Scott from the STS guys. This is how me and Scott actually got to talking to each other, because he was me and him. I said we always talked about like comic book trivia and stuff like that. And I said I was shopping on eBay at work one day, and then he was there, and then I ended up finding I'm like, hey, you're not gonna believe what I just got on eBay. And he's like, no way. I'm like I just got this copy of Spider-Man #1 for like $300. And he's like, I'm like, I don't think this guy's gonna send it. I'm like, yeah. I was ready to basically file an eBay claim, this, that, and the other. Like there were so many misspellings, like I said in this eBay listing. Like it was a true like Spooderman type of type of listing, right? The pictures were horrible. Like I said, it looks like it was taken like with a a year 2000 camera phone. Like it was terrible. Like you couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the very end of it, I'm like, you know what? If this happens to be real, I'm like, I'll take a chance on it. So I think a couple of people saw it. I said at the same point in time, yes. So then ended up actually locking it in. It was like 300 and some change. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'll gamble that. Let's see what happens. A week goes by. Nothing. Don't get the book. This is early eBay days. This is earlier on eBay days too, right? 2 weeks go by, don't get the book. I totally forgot about it. So I was ready to, file a claim. This was before, like before like PayPal, like I said, before eBay and PayPal and stuff like that too. So like just kind of date how old this purchase was. So then I finally get the book in the mail. It turns out the thing is real. I'm like, holy cow. So I ended up actually getting, I got the book certified. I got it slabbed, and it's part of my permanent collection.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. If Panels Pages Pixel, yeah, worse pictures, better deal. Yeah. No, I said I never take anything for granted now. I'm like, you know what? I said there's buyer protection for a reason. So I'm like, if there's something that happens to be too good to be true, I'm like, I'll gamble it. I said I'm a gambler by nature. Like, so we'll figure out how it happened. Yeah, Larry brings up. Yeah, this is back in the day when you had to send money. You had to send money orders. Money orders. Like, so this is before PayPal, right? So you had to send money orders. I said to the thing, and then wait for them to get it before they actually sent you your item. This is like early eBay days.
Oh yeah. I think it was. I didn't get on eBay probably till like 2018, 2019. So it had been around for a while by the time I finally jumped on the eBay wagon.
Yeah, like this eBay, I said, it's definitely changed a lot in the years. Definitely a lot easier. I said to purchase stuff now, but it's definitely changed.
I don't even know if I remember how to fill out a money order now. It's been so since I've done anything like that.
Yeah, I literally just remember going to the Walmart, to the Western Union, and getting the money order.
Yeah, that's how I used to pay the bills back in the day, money orders and stuff.
So I have another question for you, Russ. Do you have any, like I said, like sketchbook covers or comic art? I said that you've collected. I know you've a whole.
I've got a few sketch covers from the community. I've got two from Comic Head 84 that he sent me. One that I won in a contest, and one that he AOK'd me. Dude, it's one of them is a Scarlet Witch cover, and one of them is Rogue.
No,
and
I think I've seen that Rogue one. I think
I posted a picture a couple times on Instagram. I put the Rogue Funko Pop in front of it.
Yeah. No, I have seen that. That's a nice.
I was like, back again when I was a kid watching the X-Men animated series. Like Rogue was like my first crush as a kid.
Dude,
I've loved the character Rogue.
I think everybody's first crush was Rogue.
Yeah,
especially
I would say so.
That X-Men cartoon, like I said, Rogue had the cake back in the day. Let's just hope when X-Men 97 comes out, like so they keep certain things in place, right?
Let's hope, man. They'll put the iron to it and just flatten that right out.
Exactly.
It'll be like a straight board all the way down.
Oh man. No, one of my one of the things that I try to do too, like I said, when I go to conventions, is like I said, like, hey, meet creators, and like I said, see if I can get like sketches from people, right? So any type of creators that I can get sketches from. So I've met a few people over the years. I've gotten some pretty cool sketches from people, right? So like one of the people that I've met over the year, iconic Spider-Man artist Mark Bagley. Basically a guy who created, like I said, Carnage. Like I said, I got that Spider-Man that he drew for me. So like awesome sketch. I said that he drew. I said there with Spider-Man. But probably one of my all-time favorite interactions that I've ever had with a comic creator was with the late George Perez. George Perez, right? He was probably the nicest creator that I've ever met in my entire life, who genuinely, like I said, just cared so much, I said, about his fans and didn't do anything for like money or anything else like that, right? So this was maybe like 8 years ago at a convention. And you had to basically said be at the convention early. So I got in line. He was doing sketches for $25.
Oh wow.
I said, iconic, iconic artist, right? I said, and he wasn't doing it, he basically, I was talking to him like, oh, why do you do this for $25? He's like, I want anybody. People work hard enough. I said to pay. I said, to pay their entry fees in to the conventions and so. He's like, I wanted anybody to be able to afford. I said a sketch so that way they could have it part of their collection. He's like, I'm set for life. He got royalties from Teen Titans and I said and all that other type of stuff that he was involved in. So he's like, I don't need the money. He's like, I don't want the money. He's like, I wanted to do it for the fans.
That's
So
awesome.
so this is probably one of my favorite sketches in the collection was like I said, I got this Iron Man sketch so from George Perez. This was back in like 2016. Absolutely, probably one of my favorite, I said, all time, I said, creators that I've met. Probably one of, I said, besides meeting Stanley, probably I said my second highlight, I said, of anybody that I've met at a convention.
That's awesome, man. Now I've never had a professional sketch done by an artist or anything. If I'm hoping Dan Jurgens maybe comes to HeroCon next year in Charlotte, I would love to get a Superman sketch from him on something or a remark or just anything.
Dude, that'd be awesome. So you recently said you recently went to a con, right? So was that the
Yeah, I went in June a couple months ago.
The Heroes Convention, right? Was that what it was? Yeah. So was that your first con? Did I read that right? Was that your first con?
I've been before, but it's been like close to 10 years ago. And back then I was like broke. I didn't have anything but the money for the ticket, so I just went in and kind of looked around. And I didn't know anybody then. But last year, a few months ago in June, when I finally got to go back, I met up with a bunch of guys from the YouTube community, and it was just an awesome hangout, man.
Dude, that's awesome.
Found a lot of good books for the collection, and just met a lot of cool people from the community. That was like one of the best experiences I've had in a long time.
Dude,
Definitely looking forward to going back next year.
No, that's awesome. I love conventions. I said specifically for that very reason, right? It's just like I said, I said everyone's there, honestly, for the same reason, right? Everyone's there basically because I said they're a fan of something. I said luckily I said, right? I said one of the, and that's actually why we started the podcast. I said way back in the day, because me and Larry and Scott, right? I said we were just thinking like, hey, like we really wanted to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I said, and San Diego Comic-Con, right? I said, you're not getting in. I said, been buying tickets. I said, because I said, one, they sell it instantly. So like, hey, like, how do you get in? How do you get into San Diego Comic-Con? I said, and how do you win that lottery basically to be able to do that?
Yeah.
So then we started to kind of just talking, right? And so we started just kind of talking back and forth, like, hey, why don't we start a podcast just so that way we can kind of get invited to these events as press. Because like I said, they give you the tickets for free. I said you cover the event. Basically, you do something for them. And they do something for you. So we've been to so many different conventions that way. I think it's great to be able to go to the conventions because it's just so awesome to see. I said to be able to get there and meet people. And Larry even is in chat, so like he points out, it's like it's just fun to go. So when you're there meeting people and you're just kind of meeting people from the community, you're meeting different people. Like it's just an awesome experience.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever got to meet people from YouTube in person. So that was so cool.
No, it's crazy, right? Like I said, like you think like way back in the day, right? Like I said, your parents or your other people are like what are you doing meeting strange people on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Like honestly, I've met so many cool people from the internet. Like I said, it's awesome. I've met more cool people from the internet than I've met in person. Like, yeah, right? Like, just like I said, like you, Russ. Like I said, we've never met in person, but like I said, it's awesome. I said that I've met you honestly over the years. I said just through YouTube, through through Instagram, this, that, and the other. So it's how things are done now.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure it was STS guys when I first met you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It was Iron Archer turned me on to y'all's show and I started
Yeah.
checking it out.
Yeah, so that was way back in the day. Like I said, but like I said, that's how things have gone. All right, like I said, the internet is like just the internet can be a toxic place, but can also be an awesome place too. And so
YouTube, man, like
I choose to follow the awesome.
Yeah, YouTube just opened up. I know for me personally, like a whole new world. Like the way I grew up, I was very isolated and just like didn't really have any friends. I kept to myself. And when I made the decision to get on YouTube and start doing videos like 6 years ago, it's like it just opened up a world, man. And I've just met so many genuine people and formed so many like actually great friendships. It's like through YouTube, like I've met so many people I never would have met otherwise.
Well, yeah, it's just like you honestly, I said I think it's kind of cool because you get to distill down. I said I said you get to filter down to basically, hey, find people that are basically that are just so like you, right?
Yeah.
And that are just so into your same passions and your same interests and ideas and this, that, and the other. Where you can just you can create that community, like, right? It's like I forgot who said it earlier.
I had no idea there was so many other collectors out there.
Yeah, like
they just love comics and collectibles and just all this stuff.
Well, I think I think if he's still in the chat, Shop Drop 2013. So the evening, CBF comic book family, right? Like it is a family, right? Like I said, it's community.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. I think that's partly, honestly, too, what got me back into comics. I said again, right? I've had an on and off relationship with comics over the years, but then I really wanted to start my Instagram channel just because I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to start meeting some more people, right? I want to start meeting some more people in the comic community, hanging out. I love, like, honestly, like I said, I get lost. Like I said, it's just looking through people's channels and seeing what people have. Honestly, people's room tours of their comic rooms. Like I said, I could watch those videos for hours just because, like I said, I get inspired, right?
Yeah.
Like everything that's in my room right now, I can honestly say I've taken inspiration from somebody else of how I've set something up, right? So whether it be, I said, like the best thing to hold slabs on the wall are IKEA picture shelves. I forgot who I said whose channel I was watching one time, but they basically had their entire wall, I said, lined with IKEA picture shelves. I'm like, that's, and like these $10 cheap little, I said, cheap little picture shelves, right? But
I thought about trying that. Yeah, I thought about getting
slab
a bunch
looks
of those.
so great. Like I said, it makes it look so amazing. Like I said, on the wall.
Because I got that short box like over in the corner with like my CGC books in it that I would love to display, but I just don't have the room. So I've been thinking about getting those slab holders for the walls.
Yeah, no, it's I said the IKEA picture shelves. I said for slabs, they're great. Like I said, like my picture of the day, right? That I hold out. I hold the comic book out. I take it in front of my. I said one of my slab walls. I said that I have. I said that's my backdrop. So
yeah, I know it's like the walls here, like some of the stuff that I tried to hang up that was a little bit heavier tends to fall off because the wall's kind of weak. There's not really much insulation behind it because it's such an old place. So I'm kind of scared to hang up anything that's like too expensive. That's why like all the comics on the wall are just like poly bags and tacks on the flap of the poly bag. And the slabs I actually have sitting on like a solid shelf. The ones I have on display.
That's awesome though. Like I said, hey, you know what? I said you're making turning your hobby into art, right? I said like you gotta have it out there. Like I said, it's not just like I said locked in boxes, right? I know a couple of collectors, right, who just like hey, they're super into comics, but they just lock it all away. They said it's not on display or anything. They just lock it all away. I'm like man,
if I had a bigger like nerd cave, I would definitely have way more comics on the wall than I do now.
Are you kidding me? So the way my room is set up here, like I said, I bought this house specifically for this upstairs, because so this upstairs, like I said again, like I'll keep on saying go check out the video, but check out the video. Like I said, it's a 600 square foot loft, like I said, and that's the only thing that's upstairs. Besides, I said, oh, there's a bathroom up here too. But literally, you said you go upstairs and it's just one giant flat room, and I'm like, I want to make that into a nerd cave. Like I said, it's going to have, like I said, you know, I'm going to put everything so nerdy. I said nerdy and geeky, and just cram it all up in there. So like it's got, like I said, this room has, you know, a full size pinball machine and arcades, and like I said, all stuff all over the place. But like I said, it's just, like I said, it's my mecca. It's my home.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, Glitter. Yeah, I'll give you a follow, man. I said after the show. Thanks for sharing.
So the current run that you're collecting with the Avengers, man, you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. So I'm I said probably right now, I said the thing that I'm into is trying to complete some micro runs just to see if I can, right? So like I know you, Russ, I said you're going through and you're collecting. I said, and honestly, I said, I think I got a little inspired by you too, right? I said, because you're going through and collecting, you know, the Dark Phoenix run. I'm like, and it's like, you don't need the whole story. You don't need, basically said all the X-Men books. You're doing this little micro run, right?
My favorite storylines.
Just that story,
trying to complete those.
Yeah. So I'm kind of doing, I said a little bit similar of a thing, but I've always wanted the first 10 issues of the Avengers. So I am on my way, I said, to basically getting, I said, the first 10 issues, I said, of the Avengers. So I've got 9 out of the first 10 books. I said there was 2 books that I've been on the lookout for a little bit, which is issue 1 and issue 4. I just picked up an issue 4 the other day, just because I said it was a price I honestly couldn't pass it up. So I finally picked up. I said first Silver Age Cap. I said
that's awesome.
You know, issue number 4 the other day. I actually got to send this back to I actually got to send it into CGC and get a reholder on it, because I said it's got a little crack in the case. But like, for the price, I couldn't pass it up. I'm like, I'll pay $30 to reholder it.
That's a great book, man.
But yeah, so Avengers 1 through 10. That's what I'm working through right now. So I got 1 book left, which is, I said, that Avengers number 1. So I'm just waiting for the right price. I said for that. I said I know I'll find it. It's just a matter of hey, what I'm willing to pay for it. And like I said, I'm not looking for like high grades, like I said, in any of this stuff. Like I said, honestly, I think my average grade, like I said, for all these books is between like a 4.5 to like 6. I said for all my Avengers books that I have. So like I said, nothing crazy high grade, but I said just to have that history of like, hey, guess what? This spawned a multi-billion-dollar, I said, movie enterprise, you know, off of basically, you know, like I said, if you add up all the, you know, the comics, you know, the first 10 issues together, off $1.20 worth of comic books, I said back in the day, spawned, like I said, a multi-billion-dollar, I said, enterprise. So like I said,
it's crazy to think now that at one point Marvel had to sell off the rights to characters because they like almost went bankrupt, man. That's like, how did that happen?
Well, and it's just the heyday of stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Like it's I said, because I said back in the early 90s, I said they were on fire. Like I said, the entire comic book industry is on fire. Then that bubble popped like crazy. And then they basically had to license, I said, their characters out. And then I said, now I said, just to see what it is. And then they've kind of crapped the bed lately with some stuff, but that's we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. I said everything after Endgame is kind of just junk. But that's my opinion. Favorite comic book movie panels. This one's tough. I have 2. I said I know it's a cop out to say I have 2 favorites. Honestly, I said Endgame. I said honestly, I probably watched Endgame a good 20 plus times. I said when it came out, I saw it 4 or 5 times in the theater. And I watched it, like I said, just on repeat. I said afterwards, and I've done that. I get to still watch it and still get just enhanced with it, just because, like I said, it's something I never thought would get made. I love that storyline. It's something I never thought would get made. I know it doesn't follow the comic book exactly, but it's great. My other favorite, I said, the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
That's a
That
good one there.
that movie, I said, just because I said, like, it's not. I said it didn't kick off the MCU. I didn't kick off anything else, but like I said, it kicked off basically like, hey, you can really do as a comic book movies, and people will go and pay money to see them. Besides just comic book people, right? X-Men did that too, right? So like the very first X-Men movie. So like I said, you had these two movies, right? You had the original X-Men, and you had the OG Spider-Man that you could turn these into Hollywood blockbusters, and then like I said, it brings basically a whole new genre of people. Like I said, to wanting to see that comic book stuff, and that first Spider-Man was just so well done. Like I said, it had the right level of campiness. I said just the special effects. Honestly, what's crazy is, like I said, this is not to cause any stirring. I think the special effects in the old school Spider-Man movie were better than the special effects in the latest Flash movie, but that's something
hands down.
that's something else
Without doubt.
But like I said, it's just, I don't know, it was just so well done. But panels, I said, you bring up a great point. The Dark Knight, I said was also, I said, one of those movies. I said I had to go with my Marvel movies just because I'm a Marvel guy. But I said, the Dark Knight, right? Dark Knight works because you could take Batman completely out of the picture and that'd still be a great movie. You could just make it basically a crime movie, and you could basically just make it a story. Take Batman out of it, take Joker out of it, and just replace them with like whatever characters. And you could basically make it, I said, that'd still be a great movie. So like, no, hands down, I said, no, awesome. Dark Knight was also, I said, a great movie. Specifically about the Dark Knight, right? I remember, I said, going and see that in the theater. It was I don't know how old most people are, but I'm old as hell, so I'll talk about it. So I remember seeing that in the theater, but then for a while they were actually, for those of you who don't know, they were actually going to pull that movie from the theater for a little bit. Because the night of the movie premiere, that's when that crazy guy went and shot up that entire movie theater.
I remember hearing about that.
At the Dark Knight. So I had tickets for the very next day, and then we got a message from the theater saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna cancel the showings." But there was such a big uproar from the entire basically community out there. It's like, no, like don't let some crazy guy basically take away from basically an escape from reality that people need. I said, to be able to go in and actually enjoy a movie, to escape from reality, for 2.5 hours. So like it's I said, Dark Knight, though, like I said, also it's a great story, great movie. I said, no, I agree, panels.
It's like Glitter there has pretty much got my favorites right there. Like the original Superman came out in '78, so I wasn't born yet. I didn't see the movie until I was about 6 years old in 1986. So by that time, I obviously wasn't in theaters. I saw it on the old school VHS, showing my age. But that was like the first movie that I saw that just kind of first introduced me to the character. And then when I was 9, I saw the Michael Keaton Batman movie. I actually got to see that in the theater, which was probably crazy to take a 9-year-old to. Because that movie was pretty violent for a 9-year-old, I guess. But that made me fall in love with Batman. That movie. And still to this day, that's my favorite version of the Batmobile. Batmobile.
Absolutely. No. So if we're talking movies that are scarring children, the very first movie that I ever saw that I remember seeing in the theater was Total Recall. As a kid.
Yeah.
So I'll let that date me. I said, I saw Total Recall as in the theater. So 89 Batman, no, absolutely no. 89 Batman's great. And honestly, I went to go see Flash opening night because of 89 Batman, right? Like, regardless of all the controversy with Ezra Miller, regardless of the special effects being potato, I said in that movie, I said it was great to see Michael Keaton as Batman again. Like I said, hands down. Like I said, it just like Michael Keaton is my Batman. Like that's my Batman.
Yeah,
is Michael
that's
Keaton.
same here, man. That's how I feel. It was that, and then a few years later, the Batman animated series that because it wasn't until like maybe the second season of the Batman animated series when I started getting Batman comic books.
Oh,
I remember
dude.
the first storyline I got was the Nightfall storyline,
Oh,
which was
Nightfall.
shortly after the death of Superman. So that was like a crazy time to get in comics. It's like I love Superman, and the first Superman comic I ever got, he was already dead. And then I got into Batman comics, and he got his back broken, and John Paul Valley took over Batman. Then I got into Green Lantern, and he went crazy and killed a bunch of people. Like,
No, Batman the animated series though. Like I said, you bring that up. Like it's kind of crazy that was a kid's cartoon
yeah,
for how dark that was. And how I said how impactful that was. Like honestly, like I would love to see a live action. I said retelling of Feet of Clay from Batman the Animated Series
yeah,
with Clayface. Feet of Clay. I said that's Batman the Animated all-time favorite. I said, Batman animated series episode, just because I said just the emotion in that episode was great. It was freaking awesome. Then Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as freaking Joker. Like those are freaking. I said they're just as much Batman and Joker as as freaking Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson were, or Heath Ledger and Christian Bale.
I know. Another great villain on the animated series was Mr. Freeze. They really like took a potentially goofy character and they turned him into like an iconic villain with a great story.
Well, and they made you feel for him. Like I said, sit. Like I said, I think it's like I think the crazy thing I said about the Batman the animated series is like, as a kid, they made you sympathize with the villains. Like right, like so, like with like Clayface, you sympathize like hey, he was disfigured, and the reason why he was doing all this because he was disfigured. He was just trying to get his life back on track. With Mr. Freeze, right? Like I said, he was trying to save his wife from from disease, from like a deadly disease that she was dying, right? So like he did all that basically to save his dying wife. Like really powerful, like crazy things, like thematic elements that you wouldn't think they would basically have in a kid's cartoon. But it was crazy.
I remember like thinking back in the day after I saw Mr. Freeze on the animated series, I remember thinking that Patrick Stewart from Star Trek would have made a great Mr. Freeze.
Oh yeah.
And then a few years down the road, what'd they do? They made Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze. What happened there?
Those movies just took a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Panel's asked a question before. It's a favorite comic book video game. This is just because I'm a Spider-Man guy, but it happens to be Spider-Man. Spider-Man on the PS4, hands down. It is the only game.
A great game.
It is the only game I have ever platinumed. It is, like I said, it's the only game that I've ever platinumed, just because I had to basically do everything in that game.
Yeah,
I cannot.
That's a great game, man.
I cannot wait. I said till October because I'm already scheduling some time off work, just because I said I can't wait. I said for Spider-Man 2 to come out. Then you got the symbiote. I said you got Tony Todd. I said voicing Venom. Like it was great. Like I can't wait.
That's gonna be iconic. Horror movies back in the day. That's gonna be awesome that he's voicing Venom. But yeah, there's been a couple good Spider-Man games. Like I remember playing like Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1. It was really fun. I never got to like finish the whole game, but got to play a little bit of like Web of Shadows back in the day.
Oh yeah, Web of Shadows. That was good.
Yeah, those like Spider-Man's had some bangers, man, for games.
Spider-Man, and then honestly, probably one of my kind of like turn-based games that I loved was Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That game was freaking great. I said back in the day as well. Like I was hoping that Midnight Suns that came out last year was going to be kind of like Ultimate Alliance, but I was really disappointed as to how the game turned out, because
I never did check out Midnight Suns.
Yeah, it was okay. like it was okay. Ultimate, like I said, Ultimate Alliance was just, man, that was a fun game. Like I was hoping.
As far as like DC, as far as DC games go, my favorite is probably still Arkham City, the second Batman game.
Arkham City is great. That is, like I said, that game almost hasn't aged either. Like, right?
Yeah,
So I said I have a Steam Deck, right? Because I do a lot of traveling for work. So like I said, I'm always, like I said, on the road and things. And so I said I wanted to play games on the road, so I got a Steam Deck, right? So you can play computer games, basically, you know, on a handheld thing. Dude, Arkham City, it still looks fantastic. It still
yeah.
looks like a AAA game that would have came out, like I said, last week. The graphics, like I said, are still amazing. The gameplay is still great. Now, like, honestly, fantastic game. Honestly, I do have a throwback favorite game that got me into video games altogether, though.
Oh yeah.
There was a Batman game on the Commodore 64, and that is what got me into video games back in the day.
Nice.
It was a 5.25-inch floppy disk. I said Batman. I said it's based off of '89 Batman. It was Batman on the Commodore 64, and I played the crap out of that game because I said we didn't have. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. We didn't have. We didn't have any video game systems, that and the other, but we got gifted a Commodore 64, and then one of the games with it was Batman. And I just remember hooking that thing to my TV because I said the Commodore. I said you hooked to your TV, right? And it was, man, like I said, I had so much fun playing the Batman game on Commodore 64.
And yeah, my first system was a regular Nintendo with it had like Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt on the
Mhm.
same cartridge. Yeah. But as far as like the first superhero game, I can't remember if the first one I ever played was an X-Men game or if it was Spider-Man. Uh, it was either X-Men Clone Wars or Spider-Man Maximum Carnage on the Sega Genesis.
Maximum
It was
Carnage.
one of those two was my first superhero game.
Yeah, so '89 Batman was, that was my first Batman, probably my first Marvel game. I know for sure, just because I had the comic cover. I said over there was the Wolverine game that was on NES.
Oh, nice.
That has that iconic, you know, like that iconic Jim Lee cover. I said it with, you know, just Wolverine out.
Yeah.
With the claws out. I said jumping out of that page.
Actually, that was one of the comic books I picked up at Heroes Con was that Wolverine cover with
Oh,
the
nice.
suit with the claws covered out.
Yep, that's such a great cover.
Yeah.
I had that. I had that autographed by Jim Lee. That's when I met him
Oh, awesome, man.
last year. So yeah, that was a good one.
That would be a fun creator to meet, I feel like, because I love so much of Jim Lee's run from the 90s X-Men.
Oh, they're his art is just like something else. Like, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
I think there's people, like I said, right? I said just have, like I said, just amazing art. They can just, they're just nice, awesome people. And I think this is. I'll ask you this question next. I'll provide an answer first.
All right.
Is there a creator that you've ever met that's disappointed, like I said, your expectations? Like from, I said, what you expected, like I said, and you kind of said, went in with kind of, I said, disappointed expectations.
So I've never actually got to meet a creator in person before. So
So
that's like one thing that's on my list for next year's con is to save up enough money to meet some creators and try to get some sketches and stuff.
yeah, no, I have a good story and a bad story. Probably because I've heard horror stories. I said both ways. I've heard some positive stories, and I've heard completely negative stories of meeting Todd McFarlane. Right.
Yeah.
I've met Todd, like I said, a couple different times. Todd, like I said, every time that I've met him, look, one of the coolest dudes in the world. Like, doesn't charge for a signature. I said he he'll only sign, like I said, a couple things for you. But I said, any time that I've met him, he's never charged for his signature. Like I said, even at San Diego, like, right, doesn't charge for a signature. Like I said, you just basically go. You got to go early enough to get like a ticket, right? So that way you can get in line. But there's no cost to it. So I said that's always been great. I said, so I was always nervous to meet Todd McFarlane because I've heard horror stories about people meeting Todd McFarlane, and he's been, like I said, a jerk to people. However, though, I said probably my worst experience meeting anybody was from a modern comic book artist. And it wasn't even necessarily him. It was his wife, who was kind of a beast, was Jason Fabok. So like I said, Jason Fabok, this is awesome Batman artist. Probably my favorite Batman artist that I've seen draw the character. Like he draws Batman like super amazing. So I went to go purchase a piece of original art from Jason Fabok. And I said, got a piece of art. He was great to deal with, but then his wife was the one that was running the booth. Almost turned me off to the full experience. She basically accused me as the person I was with of stealing. Basically, like I was like, hey, we're trying to basically steal signatures and sell them and this and the other. I'm like no, we have two independent collections. Like I said, like I have my collection and she has her collection. Like I said, we have our own collections of stuff. Like we're together, but like I said, we have independent collections. Like and like I said, she was just like I said questioning us. And like, keep in mind too, right? Like I said, I'm spending like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, like I said, on this original art. I said from him, like, and you're basically accosting me. I said over, like I said, a signature. Like I said, I'm like, fine. I could not buy this. Yeah, I could not give you the hundreds of dollars, for this art. Like I said, if it's that big a deal. And like, it was, like I said, it was just such a bad experience. Probably the worst experience I've had at a convention was basically, I said, at Jason Fabok. And that's on top of basically the 7 hours I waited in line just to get that art.
Dude. I don't know if I could have composed myself there.
Oh, it was it was an interesting experience. Yeah. So like he was nice. Yeah. But his Jason Fabok, I said, if you ever listen to this, I said, your wife isn't nice.
Somebody sent it to him on Twitter.
I swear, like, yeah, it was I said it was not a pleasant experience at all.
I've always heard Dan Jurgens was nice. So it would be cool to meet him one day, because it was like his books that kind of got me through my childhood as Superman. So I've always wanted to meet him in person and get a signature or remark or something.
Dude, I said next your next con you're at, I can't recommend enough. Go and meet some creators, man. Like I said, like it's crazy. Like I said, I used to be all nervous. I said talking. I said to people, I'm like, man, I'm like, these guys that wrote or designed or drew some of the most like iconic stories from my childhood and even into today. But they're just human beings, and they love talking to people. Yeah. The majority, like I said, 95% of them just love talking. I said to their fans. I said in the community, and it's such a great experience. So like, yeah, next time you're at a con, like I said, any of the creators there, man, just go and start chatting them up. They're great people. Like I said, it's just an experience you can't get anyplace else.
Yeah. As far as like newer creators, I've heard good things about Jenny Frison, that she's real nice and friendly. If she's ever in a con this way, I've got a couple books I wouldn't mind getting signed.
Yeah, Jennifer, I've heard that. I've heard Ariel Diaz too. I said is super nice. I've also heard I said Art Germ. I said is super cool too.
Yeah, I've got some of his books, man. I was there for a little while. I was like huge into just buying like covers, and I would get a lot of Art Germ and Jenny Frison books before I started like just collecting the old stuff again. What's up, Hialeah?
Gorgeous.
Yeah, so she's got a lot of great books.
That's a good question. So cover. I said cover artist. Like who? I said who is? I said do you have a favorite cover artist or
Oh
favorite
man,
cover?
it's hard to go wrong with Alex Ross. I love a lot of his covers. George Perez. I've got a lot of his old books. Um, for the longest time, I was just in the '90s. Then I started getting into the older books, '80s, '70s, Bronze Age, then going back to Silver Age. And I love a lot of the old Kurt Swan Superman books too
Oh
from the
yeah, I love
Silver
that.
Age, as far as like classics go. And for newer, like I said, Art Germ, Jenny Frison, from the '90s. I love Jim Lee. It's like so many favorite artists over just the different decades of comics.
Yeah, it's hard to narrow down because I'm kind of the same way, right? I have
Yeah,
kind of a different favorite artist or cover from each kind of like I said, like kind of like generation of comics, right? So if I were to go back to like Silver Age, right? Like John Romita, like I said, hands down. I said probably
yeah,
one of my one of my all time like favorite. I said favorite artist, right? Just because I said he drew Spider, like he drew the Spider Man. I said that we know.
yeah,
And then if I had to fast forward, right, like I said into like 80s, like I said late 80s, I said early 90s. Todd McFarlane's Spider Man, dude. That
yeah,
guy can draw Spider-Man, like just the way that he basically drew, like, and how he like contorted the bodies instead of different people, right? And I said, just he could draw Spider-Man, like those Todd McFarlane, like I said, like those that on his run on Amazing Spider-Man, like such great art. Well, yeah, because like, speaking right, because I just got this one just came back in. Like I was telling you before the show, I said I got a CGC order in right before the show, so this was the one that just came in right before the show. So
that's awesome.
that's
That was issue
the sister books.
301, right?
Yep, it's 301.
And 300, yeah,
But then if I were to go modern, I don't know. Like I said, I love some Art Germ. I love some Gabriel Dell'Otto
yeah.
as well. I said his work just like amazing. I actually just picked up a couple of trade dresses of the reprint of House of Secrets '92,
Oh,
the
nice.
Swamp Thing, because Gabriel Dell'Otto did some
Yeah, that's such a great cover.
awesome Swamp Thing stuff. So like I said, it's been awesome. So, but yeah,
I
so
know Joshua Middleton. I remember he had a really good run of Batgirl covers for a while, and he did some really good Wonder Woman covers too.
yeah, no, those are great. Also another artist we lost too soon, Michael Turner. I
Yeah.
said Michael Turner could draw females like
Oh yeah.
amazing. Like I said, like
I've got a few old Michael Turner books in my collection that I love.
yeah, Michael Turner. Like I said, he just did amazing work. Yeah, so lost him way too early. I said he had so
Yeah.
much things. Like I said, so much things over. It's just crazy. Like I said, how much like back catalog he had that we never saw. Like it's crazy that like I said we're now in the year 2023, right? And every now and again we'll still get a Michael Turner cover. I said a
Yeah.
new Michael Turner cover. Like I said basically something that was like said in the archives. I said that we'd never seen before. Oh, Zombie Summit, yes, 100%. I have I said my why am I drawing a blank on what issue it is? I have my Marvel team up. It's the one with Hulk and Wolverine on the cover. That's the first Buscema. I said that's one of my favorite books.
Yeah. I can
I
picture
love
the
Buscema.
cover, but I can't remember the issue.
Can't remember the issue we had, but it's Hulk and Wolverine. I said on the
Yeah.
cover. Oh, yep, Kirby. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've got a few great covers of him and Neil Adams, man,
Oh,
is
Neil
another
Adams.
great one. Yeah.
No, I
I know
have.
that there's one I'm still looking for, trying to get in the collection. It's Superman 233, the Kryptonite Nevermore cover. I've been on the hunt for that one for a while.
Okay, that's a good question. So, like, so is there a book So that's one of them. I said, is there? I said a book. I said that you're like said that like, hey, guess what? This is going to be my next purchase. Like, is there a book that you're hunting for? I said right now, where you're just like, hey, I'm going to pull the trigger as long as if I find the right price on it.
Right now, I'm still trying to complete that Dark Phoenix saga. So the next two I'm hunting for is issue 132 and 133, and I'm actually bidding on a 132 right now on eBay. That I'm hoping to get pretty cheap. Right now, it's only like $51, and there's only one other bidder. So
hey,
there's like 3 days left on it. So here's hoping I can get it at least under $60. That would be nice.
Oh, that'd be great.
But once I complete that, I'm really probably going to go after Fantastic Four issues 45 and 46, the first Inhumans and the first Black Bolt. But
nice.
So those, after I complete the Dark Phoenix run, are the next two bigger books I'm going after.
Yeah, the next book that I'm after, besides my Avengers one, that's I have to find basically. I said it's not just the grade, right? It's I said because especially if I'm doing lower grade, I'll go with basically a lower grade that presents like I said super well. Like I said, I don't care if it's like a 3.0, right? But like, is it a 3.0 that actually presents really well? Because there's some different books that like I said, like even like for like I said this cap, right? So this one's only a 4.5, but it's a 4.5 that presents really well. There's no like some major tears, there's no everything else. Like I said, it's a 4.5 just because I said it's got some really major foxing, like I said, on the edge, but like I said, it presents pretty well.
I've got a few books like that. That's like graded like a 2 point. Like I've got Superman issue 123, which is the first prototype appearance of Supergirl, and it's only a 2.5, but it looks like it could be like a 5.0. Man, it presents super well in the case. But I've seen other 2.5s that just look tore up in the case.
Beat, yeah.
So it's like
that's crazy.
It's like such a weird like grading curve. Like some of them look real presentable, and some of them just look like a rag.
Yeah, I've seen the wide gamut spectrum.
Yeah.
But probably with the book I said looking for is picking up a book that that I had, but then I got rid of, but I want it back. Which is I said I want Daredevil 131 First Bullseye.
Man, that's a great book.
I love that cover. It's probably one of my in terms of like iconic covers that are out there. Like I said, just that. I said the art on that cover, plus I said with the yellow and the red, and then you got bullseye in the background. I said it just pops. So I have a potential deal going on. I said for one of those. So
that's good.
Hopefully that'll fall in the collection sooner rather than later.
Daredevil, that's another great character that. There's so many great characters, man, that I love. Like I remember like kind of feeling a connection with Daredevil because growing up I was like pretty much blind. It's like I'm almost completely blind in my left eye. So when I discovered Daredevil, I just kind of fell in love with that character too.
Yeah, Daredevil's been. I said it's been he's one of those characters where I'm like I said I loved the Frank Miller run on Daredevil. Like so that I said it's just brought some amazing, and then just it's crazy, right? I said that like I said there's certain things that exist in the world that basically spawned ideas. I said for other thing, right? Like so if we didn't have the Frank Miller Daredevil run, we wouldn't have the Ninja Turtles. It's crazy to think that.
Probably not. Yeah.
Like it's crazy to think that because I said the Ninja Turtles, I said were the spoof off of the of that Daredevil run. I said of that Frank Miller Daredevil run, right?
Yeah, I remember hearing that story. Like the ooze that blind Daredevil made the turtles.
Yeah. So, well, then I said it's just like I said it's a direct ripoff of everything. So, like for example, right? So, like in Daredevil, I said you had the Ninja Clan as the hand, and then like in Ninja Turtles, it's the foot, right? So, like it's like so it's a direct, basically kind of like Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, right? So they basically try to spoof. I said like Daredevil. I said with the Ninja Turtles, right? But it's just crazy that I said you wouldn't have, like I said, some of this other stuff I said that's out there if you didn't have, I said, some of these other characters. But then even like I said more recently, right? I said with like I said with Netflix and I said the Daredevil, I said the Daredevil run I said over on Netflix. Charlie Cox, man, just knocked it out of the park.
He killed that role, man.
He killed that role. Like I said, I'm glad he's coming back, and he's coming back into the role. He was a great Daredevil. Also, real quick, I'm sorry, I'm gonna plug the podcast real quick. Episode 250. Right. I said for the podcast, I said we're actually going to be giving away. I said the signed Charlie Cox Daredevil. I said metallic photo. So that's coming as a giveaway for episode 250 of the podcast coming up. So tune in. But yeah, no. Charlie Cox killed it, and then John Bernthal, I said as the Punisher, like, man.
Oh yeah, such a good choice for that character.
He knocked it out of the park. Like it's just like there's some characters, like I said, that are just so synonymous, I said, with their characters, right? Like Robert Downey Jr. is always going to be an Iron Man. Like you couldn't have picked as a better Iron Man. Like anybody else that you can kind of think of, like I said, you can't pick.
Yeah, it's like now it's hard to picture anybody else in that role.
Yeah, you can't.
I don't know how they could ever recast him if they did like a reboot.
And then
what's up, Jackson? Sean, thanks for popping in, guys. Hope you're doing good, Sean.
Yeah. Then I said then you have other characters, right? It's like John Bernthal is the Punisher, right? John Bernthal, I said, like he's the Punisher now. Like, and there's some other people that have done, I said, a pretty decent job, right?
Yeah, I like the Thomas Jane Punisher back in the day.
The Thomas Jane Punisher was great. Like I said, it was like I said.
Yeah, it surprised me that he never got a sequel to that movie.
Well, and then he even tried, I said, to get a sequel. I said, did you ever watch the YouTube video short that he made? Well, I think it's called like the Bad Day or Dirty Laundry or something like that.
Yeah, I did. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And I think at one point he was supposed to have a cameo in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, if I remember right, but it got like scrapped or something.
Yeah, that would I said, he was. I thought he did a great job. Even Ray Stevenson, I said in Warzone. Yeah, Warzone. Even he didn't do a bad job. I like Thomas Jane. I said,
I like
better in that role.
Yeah, but like I said, John Bernthal now, man, he's like, it seems like he was made for that role.
Oh yeah, he's made. I said for that role. And then like I said, there's just certain people I said that are just made. I said for their role, right? Like I said, like Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, right? Ryan Reynolds is made for that role. Like you can't pick anybody else for him. Hugh Jackman, right? Hugh Jackman, like, is Wolverine.
I'm so glad he's coming back for Deadpool 3.
I am so glad.
When I saw those set photos of the actual like Wolverine suit, oh man, that got me so hyped up.
Those pictures, I said, they lit the internet on fire.
Yeah,
like they let the internet on fire. Like I said, I remember I said on Instagram, right? I said that's the only thing they said you were seeing all day long. I said that entire weekend was those set photos.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. Like people will nitpick everything. I remember it's like a group of people being upset because the Wolverine suit had sleeves. Like who cares, man? He's in the blue and yellow suit.
Yeah, it's
what's up, Johnny?
Yeah, it's one of those situations, right, to where like just be thankful that we're getting the movie and he's getting in the costume finally. And then right, you also got to think this too, right? He's the only character who's played the same character for the last 23 years.
It's crazy to think that it's been that long, man, because I still remember like the first X-Men movie, like it was like just a few years ago, and it's like pretty soon you're going to like turn on YouTube and people are going to be talking about retro movies, and it's going to be from the early 2000s. Because to me, God, the 90s to me just feel like it was 10 years ago, but it was like 40 years ago or something.
Very, very much the same. Like, no, I said it's hard to believe. Like I said, it's been that long. And then, like I said, I was was flipping through, like I said, HBO Max today, and then they broke it down into channels, right? So you had like the Turner Classic Movies channel, and then to have Batman, I said the Batman '89 as a Turner Classic movie. I'm like, oh my god,
that makes me feel so old when I see stuff like that. People talking about old timey shows, and it's something from like 2001.
Yeah, it just gets kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I gotta get wrapped up here. I said, Russ, I said so. I said it's been great talking to you.
This was a blast, man.
It's been. I had a ton of fun. I said I'm glad you're doing this. I said thank you for having me on. Let me be the first one on here.
Thank you for the idea for the show, man. I never would have thought about doing anything like this with if you hadn't dropped that on the Q&A.
Hey, like I said, I'm happy to help where I can. Like I said, hoping. I said a lot of you in the chat. I said, hit up my Instagram. I said, follow me. I said, I'll give you a follow back. So I start following your stuff. Definitely want to check out your guys'. I said, IG pages if you're out there. Want to check out your collections. Drop your YouTubes. Drop whatever. Like I said, I want to see it all.
Oh yeah. For anybody watching now or watches on the replay, ComicFury's Instagram link is in the description below. And right after the stream ends, I'm going to link the STS YouTube page to STS guys.
No, I appreciate that, Russ. Like I said, great stream, man. Like I said, thanks for getting to do this. And like I said, I can't. I said I'll be on again. I'll have some
definitely
stories. And I said I can't. I hope you keep this up, just because like I said I want to learn more about people around the community. Like I said, just because I think it's a good way to learn more about people, learn more about their collections, and just kind of, I said, get everyone kind of on the same page. So like I said, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make this a weekly show. Next week, I've actually got Larry from the STS guys. He volunteered to be the second guest. But next week's episode is going to be on a Tuesday instead of a Monday, because next Monday I'm going to a Monday Night Raw, so I'm not going to be here.
Nice.
So next week will be Tuesday, September 5th. Tune in for Larry from the STS guys, also known as Nerd and Cheese on Instagram. And I will see you guys later. Thanks again for coming on, man, for giving me an idea. I had a blast, dude.
Awesome. Me too, man. I appreciate it. Hey, everyone, have a great night. I said, I hope you guys, have a great night. And I can't wait to see some of your channels. I said, I'll be following you out here pretty soon.
Peace, guys, and keep it 9,000.
Peace.